I'm not going back to college to be your friend. I'm going so I can get Uber One for students. It saves you on Uber and Uber Eats. I'm there for $0 delivery fee on cheeseburgers, up to 10% off smoothies, and 6% Uber cash back on rides. Just to be clear, I'm there for savings, not whatever you think college is for.
Get Uber One for students, a membership to save on Uber and Uber Eats. With deals this good, everyone wants to be a student. Join for just $4.99 a month. Savings may vary. Eligibility and member terms apply.
Summer's here, and you can now get almost anything you need for your sunny days delivered with Uber Eats. What do we mean by almost? Well, you can't get a well-groomed lawn delivered, but you can get a chicken parmesan delivered. A cabana? That's a no. But a banana? That's a yes. A nice tan? Sorry, nope. But a box fan? Happily, yes. A day of sunshine? No. A box of fine wines? Yes. Uber Eats can definitely get you that. Get almost anything delivered with Uber Eats. Order now. Alcohol in select markets. Product availability may vary by region. See app for details.
As school germs return, rest easy. Clorox has got your back to school.
Ugh, you're back?
It is I, your kid's germy desk, and I've got things to say. I've been sneezed on, used as a tissue. There's chewed up gum under my...
Calm down. I'll get my Clorox disinfecting wipes.
Oh, and can you please get these sweaty gym clothes off of me? Oh.
School, am I right?
Clorox disinfecting wipes kill 99.9% of viruses and bacteria and clean hundreds of messes on hard, non-porous surfaces when used as directed.
Greatness hurts. It's 10,000 hours of hard work, sweat, and setbacks. The aches, the stumbles, the falls. Tylenol provides pain relief for the champion in us all. It's the #1 doctor-recommended brand of pain relief and fever reduction. This summer, when greatness hurts, Tylenol will be there with care to help you keep chasing it. That's Tylenol. That's care without limits. Visit Tylenol.com/greatness-hurts to learn more. Use as directed.
Hey there, Duke fans. Episode 647 of the DBR, the Duke Basketball Roundup. We are here today to talk about something serious, but we're going to have some fun doing it. I am Jason Evans. I'll be hosting today. Joining me is my buddy Donald Wine. Donald, how you doing this fine morning?
Good. I'm back in D.C. And as we teased at the end of the previous episode, everything fell into place, ladies and gentlemen. We got the guy. We got him. This is going to be a great interview. And again, as Jason said, for, talking about a really good cause that's coming up on October 5th.
Yeah, exactly. Donald's talking about the interview that we have coming up in just a couple moments with Duke assistant coach. Actually, not assistant. I guess he's associate head coach.
Associate head coach. Yep.
Yes. Chris Carrawell, a Duke legend, a guy who has been with the program longer than anyone else on the coaching staff. It's worth noting he was there before John, right? He was there before John Shire was, I believe. Yeah. Wasn't he? Oh, no, he came in later. I'm thinking of Nate James.
Yep.
Regardless, a guy who knows what's going on with the Duke program and a Duke legend. Before we get to his interview, I want to point out something that is important to note. This month, September, is Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month. And that is because there are more than 15,000 children per year who are diagnosed with cancer. And it is worth noting that cancer is the leading disease cause of death for people under the age of 20. But only 4% of federal cancer research spending goes towards fighting pediatric cancer. And the Duke basketball team, the Duke athletic department, the Duke, both the men's and women's teams are going to do something about that. They are raising money through a program called the Dribble for Victory. We've talked about it on this podcast in the past, the Dribble for Victory over cancer. We're going to talk to Coach Carrawell about it in just a moment, but just so I can't repeat this enough. There is a special fundraising page that we have set up through the Duke Basketball Roundup. I'm hoping everyone who listens to this just come, make a $10 donation, do a little something if you can for the Dribble for Victory over cancer. If you go to tinyurl.com/Duke Dribble, capital DUKE, capital DRIBBLE, tinyurl.com/Duke Dribble. It will take you to our fundraising page for the Dribble for Victory over cancer. And if you are in Durham, on October 5th, on Saturday, October 5th, you will be able to participate in the Dribble for Victory. It is an event where you get to hang out with the Duke team, both the men's and women's teams. They do a little 1-mile course. There are all kinds of donations you can make that will provide you with a basketball, a Duke hat, a chance to enter a drawing for tickets, all that kind of stuff. It's all linked on our page. But this is just such an important thing for people to take part in. Right, Donald?
Absolutely. And Jason, just a couple more notes. The Dribble for Victory Over Cancer combines the efforts of 3 organizations, at least on the Duke side. The V Foundation, which of course has been linked with Duke since its founding, the Pediatric Cancer Research Foundation, and Duke Children's Hospital. So we're talking about 3 different causes that are coming together to basically pool money from this event to go towards the research that is necessary to find a cure for pediatric cancer. They're hoping to raise $75,000 through this event. As Jason, I think you mentioned, it's the 3rd year that Duke has participated in it. And, every little bit helps. Everyone says, I don't have 75 grand. That's true. But you may have 5, you may have 10, you may have $1. All of that goes towards it. You can't get to 75 without starting by counting to 1, right? You got to just start with something. So anything that you were able to give, again, tinyurl.com/Duke Dribble. I will also put it in the show notes for this episode, and the article that goes up on the Duke Basketball Report will also have a direct link to that page. Go ahead and support it. Again, if you're in Durham, which I cannot be, unfortunately, on October 5th, you can go down there. And again, we've given Jason instructions, but I'll give it to you as well. Nobody dribble around the players. Say hi to the players, take a picture with them, have a great time, but do not cross up Tyrese Proctor. We don't need that. You just cross up each other. You all can fall down. It's a nice little fun deal. I think it's a mile-long course, Jason, that you got to do. So
yeah, it's simple.
We're
it's
adequate footwear. No sandals and flip-flops for this, but it should be a really fun event. I'm sorry I cannot attend, but Jason, thank you for going to represent the 2 of us at this event.
Yeah, and by the way, in addition to dribbling around this little course with the players from both the men's and women's teams, prior to the event starting, prior to the dribbling, there will be a women's open practice. After the dribbling, there will be a barbecue. You get a barbecue lunch in North Carolina. Come on. I mean, that's always a treat. And then after the barbecue, after lunch, there will be a men's open practice. You must register. You must make a donation in order to be invited to the men's open practice, to be a part of all these events. It's going to be a whole day of fabulous stuff.
And Jason, I think there is a women's basketball open practice as well. So you
I mentioned,
see that.
I said that at the beginning. Oh yeah.
Toby Fournier dunks. You can see
exactly. Yeah, it's worth checking out for sure. Enough of us prattling on and on about this. Just moments ago, we spoke to Chris Carrawell about it. Here's our interview with Chris Carrawell, and yes, there'll be some basketball stuff. We'll also talk to him about the team, but here's our interview with Chris Carrawell, where we at least begin by speaking about this important cause, the Dribble for Victory Over Cancer, and Duke's involvement with it. Coach, thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate having you having the time to talk to us about what is a really important event. Tell the fans out there exactly how this is going to go, how the Dribble for Cancer will be, and what role you and the team are going to play in all of this.
Yeah, well, we're really just there for support. And it's a great cause. I think we've been doing this the 3rd year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's what we heard. Yeah,
3rd year, and the profession that we're in, it's college athletics and men's college basketball at Duke University, but it's just to raise the awareness of what's going on in the world, and cancer being at the forefront of that, and how many people it affects. Kids, you see kids when we go to the hospital, the struggle, there's nothing tougher than seeing a 12-year-old, 13-year-old kid who's struggling with cancer, and just puts things in perspective. And so for us, it gives our guys an opportunity to go out there and interact with fans and raise awareness of with cancer, and just the support, just being out there with support and and to understand that is, with these kids, because so much is centered around them, like it's bigger than you. So many things, it's bigger than you. And our guys do a great job of, just being present. And we love it. We love the event. It's been a great event, and to raise awareness, and just to give support is something that has been special to us these past three years.
And talk a little bit about what you and the team are going to be doing. You guys going to be joining in the dribble and an open practice. I mean, just give folks who haven't heard that much about it, tell them about Duke basketball's involvement in this specific event.
Yeah, definitely. I think we do. I don't know how many miles it is, but we do dribble. We get out there and we're dribbling with families, we're dribbling with kids, and I think it's really just right around campus.
Yeah,
so
it's a 1 mile. It says a 1 mile course. Yeah,
it's a 1 mile course where we dribble and and just walk with families, man, who may have a family member that's affected by cancer, and it's more about the support. And, we're dribbling, and then we're not showing off any fancy dribble moves. But but we do just do it, man, to the support of, to just be around and talk to families and parents and kids is something that I look forward to, because I've met somebody different the first 2 years and been able to interact with them, and you kind of not you kind of build a short friendship during that time, where you just you take pictures and you talk about life. And it's been good. It's a quick mile too. It's a quick mile. It's not that bad, but it's been great.
Don't worry, Coach. I've already prepped Jason. He's going down for the event. I told him he can't try to cross up any of the players. He can do it with anybody else, but the players are off limits with his dribbling skills. So be safe. We're safe there.
That's right. Absolutely off limits, Jason. Don't try anything tricky, man. Don't try anything tricky.
Don't worry, I'm in my mid-50s. There was a time, and that time has passed.
That's right.
Hey, I wanted to ask you, what's the message that the coaching staff gives the team about these kind of events? Why is it important for these talented basketball youngsters to do this kind of community work?
Well, we look at it as an opportunity to connect, and these kids they have a busy schedule, from lifting weights to going to class to practice to getting in extra workouts. I mean, they have a busy schedule. But also, if you just come to Duke and just play basketball, we failed you as a coaching staff. There's so many things out there that are important in life, in the game of life. We want to teach you about life and off the court, and to connect and be present, and to be around, and just to keep things in perspective. What we do is important. It's not the most important thing. And when we talk about how serious cancer is and how many lives it has affected, how many people that is affected, I mean, come on, man. It's, we all have had a family member. My grandmother, my mom's mom, she, died of cancer. So we've all been affected by it. And I think our guys do an incredible job of being in the moment, being humble enough to know how important it is to, walk with a kid, who may be struggling with cancer, to walk with a family that has been affected by cancer. They understand that, and they don't big time the event. We wouldn't let them, but we don't have to tell them, because they know how important it is. So that's why the Dribble for Victory is that's important, because when you can pay it forward and pay it back at any time, I mean, that's the joy. That's joy.
Yeah, those are beautiful words, and I love the value that you guys are instilling in these kids. In addition to raising money for this cause, part of this event is fans get a chance to partake, to look at an open practice with the team. And look, we've seen a little bit of how practices go in the past, but how does an open practice like this maybe differ from the normal ones that you guys usually have, or will it be different? Will we get to see the true unvarnished, what a regular Duke practice looks like?
Yeah, yeah, it'll be a regular practice. We'll be in season. We'll probably at that time be about a little bit over a week into practice. And so now you'll get to see uh, a practice, practice, not just some fluff. We're going to go at it. It'll be out the countdown, I think, if I'm not
It
mistaken,
is.
looking at
It's
the schedule.
Yeah, I'm
All
coming
these
in for count. I'm coming in for countdown, and then staying the next day for the dribble.
stand the next day for the dribble, right? And
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
yeah, we're going to be into it, Jay. We're going to be into it. And I think the fans and the people that's part of the event get to see a competitive, spirited Duke practice. And although countdown craziness is something that's fun and be a part of, next day is business and work. You think about our season will be here before you know it. And we don't have time to waste. And we're going to use that opportunity to really go at it and have a hard and hopefully good practice.
I mean, speaking of work, you guys have been working this entire summer, and I know through social media we've gotten bits and pieces of how the team is coming together. But real quickly from your eyes, what have you seen from this team in the summer? I know you haven't gotten to the official practices yet, but what have you seen from this team that maybe has surprised you as they come together for this new year?
There's been no egos. There's been no egos. It's kind of like everybody's starting from scratch. They've really embraced each other. We have an entire new team. We only have two returners with Tyrese and Caleb, and these guys have bonded, man. You know, I don't want to compare teams, but like these guys are, they hang out together off the court. They they give each other crap. It's kind of like an old school feel. Where
Mm-hmm.
guys have been together 2, 3, 4 years. That's not the case anymore, which that's what I miss about college basketball. But this team so far kind of reminds you of that team where you got the freshmen and Cooper and Isaiah and Khan and Kaman, where those guys are the youngsters on the team. Then you got the old heads like Mason and Sion, who are like the grizzly vets who try to teach these guys to work. They giving each other crap, they joking, and they've kind of bonded just naturally, which is it's been exciting to see. So I think that's for me has been a surprise because when you get an entire new team, basically, you don't know how these egos. You got guys coming in with big reputations, but so far, man, they've been a team that's like, man, this team is close already, and I think that is as you go on, that's important because when you're in the heat of the battle, you want to be a group that's connected, and the best way to be connected is to connect all the time, and they've done a good job of that.
It's interesting, right? You mentioned this team has a lot of turnover from last year. You've also been a part of teams both as a player and a coach with a lot of continuity. How does the coaching staff adjust to that from year to year? I know you came from the Coach K era, and Coach K would always approach each team as each team. Is that the same approach that you and John and the rest of the staff bring to this particular group of guys?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's my 3 years. This is my third year with John at the helm, and it's been different each year. And that's the landscape of college basketball. It's just different, and you got to embrace different. So, what you've done the year before, you may, if you get a group that comes back, which doesn't happen often, you may be able to do some similar things. But now, we've done things different each year. The first year with Derek Lively and those guys, Filipowski, we played a different brand. We're more smash mouth half court. Last year we had a team that, we spread you out. We shot a lot of threes, and played that way. This year, because of the guys we have coming in, we're gonna play a different way this year. So each year is evolved. It's always changing, and we know that. So we don't go in. So and once you get your final roster, like and that that takes some time as well because it's like it's ongoing. But once you got your roster set, as a coaching staff, we kind of meet to figure out, and by watching film, thinking about our personnel on the way we want to play. on a way we want to play that we think best fits our personnel. And we've done a good job, and John's done a great job of doing that. But it's here, so we'll see. We don't know. We feel like it will be good, but you never know until you throw that ball up and somebody gets elbowed, and you never know. But we've done a good job so far.
Hey, everyone has a plan until you get punched in the face. Mike Tyson once said that, and I truly, truly believe that. So I'm sure as you guys adjust to the season, that'll be something that you deal with. Hey, real quick, we obviously we're a podcast, but we are big fans of the Brotherhood podcast. I know you are as well. We think CFOS has been doing a wonderful job so far, taking over for Ryan Young. But so far this summer, every single person that has come on the show has said Khan Knippel has been lighting it up and has been one of the surprises of the summer. Just real quick, what is he doing that's so special, and what have you guys been surprised at as he has come into the woodwork with all the rest of the guys?
Yeah, Khan's been Khan really was really underrated. He was really underrated. He was the leading scorer going to his senior year at EYBL, right? And so, I mean, which is the top circuit, the top players, and he was the leading scorer out of all those players. And so he's underrated, and he's just been consistent, man, consistent with his work ethic. And he's bigger than you think. He's more athletic than you think, and man, he can shoot with the best of them. And he's competitive. He can guard. These are things that, this guy's coming from Wisconsin and Milwaukee. He was kind of, I hate to say it, but like he wasn't talked about. He wasn't he was really under the radar.
Mm-hmm.
And not a lot of guys, unless you played against him, you're like, yeah, that guy, he's good, but you didn't know how good, and even we didn't know how good he was until he stepped foot on campus. Like, the guy's different. He's just different. He's wired different with his work ethic, and he's been incredible so far, man.
Yeah, we've heard nothing but great things. We've seen, on social media, the many clips that you guys put out so well through Duke Blue Planet. It seems like he's coming together. Obviously, another guy coming together is Cooper Flagg. He's getting a lot of hype. Preseason, talk about playing in the being the Player of the Year race. What is it about his game that impresses you the most? Because it seems like he does everything super well. He's not a jack of all trades that does everything good. He's elite in so many different ways. What has stood out about him to you?
Really, it's been his attitude. His attitude has been incredible. He's come in with, I was here when Zion first year. I was here, and once we came back from our European tour, Zion Mania kind of took off, and it hasn't been a player since I've been here that's had the non-basketball fan talking about him. Like the basketball fans know about, of course, but you see somebody in a grocery store and who they don't watch basketball every day, or but that Cooper, what's his name, the kid from Maine, they.
Mm-hmm.
So like the hype surrounding him has been incredible, but his attitude has been sensational. He gets up and works out. You can coach him hard. He's been a great teammate. He just some guys just have it. He has it. Whatever that is, he has it, and it spreads. And he's a great. I think he's a great teammate, man. Doesn't take it. He knows like about the hype, but doesn't buy into it. Works his butt off, and I've been really, I've watched him 100 times in high school. So like his game was. I am a little bit surprised by it, but not entirely. But his attitude and his motor has been, it's for a freshman. He's only 17. He could be a senior he should be a senior in high school. And
Mhm.
so you wouldn't think that this guy, you think he's a junior senior the way he acts. So that's been fun to watch.
Coach, we really appreciate you taking the time and giving us a little insight into the team. And then also, obviously, we super appreciate what you guys, everybody in the team, from Coach Shire on down to the end of the bench, is doing for the Dribble for Victory. And we hope that so many folks out there will listen to this interview and join us in supporting that really, really important cause. And again, thank you for taking some moments here today and chatting with us about it.
Anytime, fellas. You guys have been great. Some great questions. Hopefully, we can get a great turnout for a great event. We're looking forward to it and appreciate you guys having me on.
Absolutely. Hey, I'll see you there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No tricks, Jace. No tricks. All right. All right, Don.
All right. Take care.
Traveling to see your fave sports team is cool. But traveling with Amex Platinum for the big game is even better.
Right this way.
With access to dedicated card member entrances at select events, you can skip the line.
And one.
And with access to the Centurion Lounge,
he shoots a three.
You can catch the next game on the way home. That's the powerful backing of American Express. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/withAmex. Card member entrance access not limited to Amex Platinum Card.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. You might say all kinds of stuff when things go wrong, but these are the words you really need to remember. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. They've got options to fit your unique insurance needs, meaning you can talk to your agent to choose the coverage you need. Have coverage options to protect the things you value most. File a claim right on the State Farm mobile app and even reach a real person when you need to talk to someone. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Earning your degree online doesn't mean you have to go about it alone. At Capella University, we're here to support you when you're ready. From enrollment counselors who get to know you and your goals, to academic coaches who can help you form a plan to stay on track. We care about your success and are dedicated to helping you pursue your goals. Going back to school is a big step, but having support at every step of your academic journey can make a big difference. Imagine your future differently at capella.edu.
How do stop losses work on Kraken? Let's say I have a birthday party on Wednesday night, but an important meeting Thursday morning. So Sensible Me pre-books a taxi for 10 p.m. with alerts. Voila! I won't be getting carried away and staying out till 2. That's stop loss orders on Kraken, an easy way to plan ahead. Go to kraken.com and see what crypto can be. Not investment advice. Crypto trading involves risk of loss. Cryptocurrency services are provided to U.S. and U.S. territory customers by Payward Interactive Inc., PWI, DBA Kraken. View PWI's disclosures at kraken.com/legal/disclosures.
Donald, we're back from the break, and let's just get some quick reactions to some of the stuff we heard from Coach Carrawell there. I'll start with, the very first thing he said to us about basketball, old school camaraderie. He said, he remembers back in the day when teams really came together and had each other's backs and they knew each other. And he's like, this team, they give each other crap. They joke a lot. There's just tons of natural bonding going on. I love hearing that. That's got to be like, that's music to our ears, because he's right. That is something that you don't necessarily get all the time in college basketball nowadays.
And as he mentioned, also, it's difficult sometimes when you have a team that's almost completely new, right? With all the, only 2 guys in the main rotation that are returnees. It's easy for that to kind of be disregarded, but that will mean something. The fact that they're hanging out with each other. I also, real quickly getting back to the event, I think it's interesting that he said, "Hey, this is going to be a real practice, y'all. So get ready." I think that's fun. I will say he's probably holding back the fact that there won't be as much cursing because there will be open mic open mic night at the club. So it may be a PG rated version of a regular practice, but again, it seems like these guys embrace that part of the aspect of things, the competition, and and after, again, being a countdown of craziness the night before, they're going to come back and have a real deal, no holds barred type of practice in front of everybody. That's, again, the competition part of things that we have been hearing as the theme all summer long.
Yeah, and I think a lot of why they are able to have that kind of, level of competition and that camaraderie, that bonding is he talked about, two of the guys we asked him about. We asked him about K2 and we asked him about Coop. And with both of them, he talked about work ethic. He talked about bringing an attitude, a professional kind of attitude to the floor. Mentioned that Cooper, acts like a junior or a senior. His attitude, his motor, and your ability to coach him hard. Those are things that those aren't natural for a lot of guys. And the fact that Cooper has that, the fact that Con Knipple has it as well. You talk about Con being wired differently.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big deal for this team, and that allows the coaches to be a little more aggressive in terms of how they're putting this team together. But I think it's worth noting. I love what he said. He goes, "You never know what you got until someone starts throwing elbows."
Right. That's
a Chris Carrawell comment. That is a true Carrawell comment.
When I say, everyone has a plan till they're punched in the face, that's a mantra that you can adapt in anything, right? Like it doesn't mean anything until we've seen in basketball until they roll the ball out and see what happens, right? You don't know what this season is going to be. And I think that's what's so exciting about it. Jason, I will also note it is refreshing to me on a personal level to see how connected and how much it means for this team in general, the program, to be involved in an event like this and to have this is not window dressing, right, where they're just we're going to go out and shake some hands and be with the kids and then call it a day and go to practice. This this event, the Dribble for Victory Over Cancer, is something that means something to them. Everyone has been touched by cancer. They say 50% of people will get cancer in their life, right? That's incredible to think about. So the fact that Carrawell had his story, and everyone has a personal story. Again, I just came from a charity event as well. That benefits a different type of cancer. But again, I would strongly encourage everybody to give to our page, the page that Jason set up. Let's try and raise as much money as we can, and again, have a great time out there. I think that's the idea here. It's for a serious cause, but we can have fun while again, knocking out cancer bit by bit. And so I'm really thankful for Chris for being here on the show to talk about that aspect and also to give us some insight on the basketball team, because as we've said before, we don't get the assistant coach or the coaching perspective on this show often. And so we're very grateful when we have that opportunity to do so.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's get to our last topic today, which is that John Shire was doing an interview. Was it Jeff Goodman? Yeah, it was Jeff Goodman, right?
No, John Rothstein.
John Rothstein. I couldn't remember if it was Goodman or Rothstein.
Roth.
Whoever. John Shire was doing an interview earlier this week, and question came out. Someone said, "Hey, would you be interested in playing UConn?" And John was like, "Yeah, I think we could. Something we could look at." I don't think is that surprising of an answer from him. I mean, look, he's not going to go, "No, we want to duck that team. We don't want to play that team." But I suspect, maybe it sort of put a bug in John's ear about, this could be a really, really big time matchup. We know that Duke is looking at a multi-year series with Kansas, completely outside of the Champions Classic. And that in fact, what we've heard, I don't think it's been finalized, but we've heard they're playing in Vegas this year. I believe next year they are facing each other in the Champions Classic.
That's correct.
Yeah. And then what we've heard is that for the 2 years after that, they'll do a true home and home, the same way we're doing with Arizona right now. I don't know that Duke is going to want to do multiple home and homes like that in a given year. So if we were going to try and do something with UConn, it'd be a few years down the line, I think, potentially. But a really interesting opponent to talk about, because they are the current kings of college basketball. Much as we may like to think Duke is the king, UConn's got back-to-back natties, and that makes them the top of the heap right now.
It's interesting because, first of all, Duke and UConn have played each other 9 times, and we've never played on each other's campus. So I think that's an interesting. We've only played in neutral sites in, of course, the NCAA tournament so many times. But I think also it shows me that Shire is willing to play anyone, anytime, anywhere, and at least consider that fact. I think is really cool. So I'm really excited about this because one, the Arizona game is great. The Kansas game, great. We talked about the Champions Classic. It's not scheduled right now to continue beyond next year. In fact, next year we don't even know where they're playing yet. So now I love the Champions Classic. I've gone to a ton of them, and I know you have as well. It's one of the premier events that college basketball has ever had, in my opinion. I think some of the luster in a way has been lost by the fact that when it started, it was four Titan coaches at the top of their game with four teams that were consistently in the top 5 or 6 every single year. Now, has that changed a little bit? Yeah, Sparty is probably the weakest link of that three, but you also don't have Calipari at Kentucky anymore. Coach K, of course, has retired. It's now John Shire. And so maybe it's a chance for the Champions Classic to reinvent itself in a way, maybe with some new teams. Maybe it's they continue it. And we've had times where we said, oh, this is the last year. And then right at that game, they announced, hey, we've extended it for 3 more years so that they do another rotation. I do think that if the Champions Classic goes away, there is room for games like this against a UConn, against the, even, scheduling a Kentucky.
That's a great point. Yep.
And you can create, and maybe, of course, we've talked about the multi-team events, like the early season tournaments, maybe getting back into one of those and forming something that way instead of it being at the start of the season. You get a couple weeks to get your feet wet. There's a lot of possibilities here, and any of those possibilities can involve playing UConn. It doesn't necessarily need to be on the traditional home and home style, but it could be where, we play Kansas at home, we play UConn neutral site. Next year, we play Kansas on the road, a Kentucky neutral site, whatever that could be. There's a lot of flexibility to schedule some of these games to make the non-conference schedule competitive and exciting for fans. And I think John Shire has proven so far that he's willing to listen to any of that. And in the case of, again, in Arizona, the Kansas one that we're hearing about, he doesn't care who they are. We'll go to their house and we'll see how we stack up. It makes for a lot of great college basketball. And I think, honestly, having a home and home set up where we have one of those every single year, whether we're at home or away, I think makes a lot of sense for Duke.
Yeah, there's no question about it. And it may be that, something with UConn, something with these other teams takes a little time to come together because of the uncertainty about the Champions Classic. I hope it continues. And even though I know it's easy to sort of go, oh, Michigan State isn't in a class with these other programs. Yeah, I feel like Sparty comes back. Tom Izzo, I'll be surprised if they stay down for a while.
And honestly, when it comes to Michigan State, and you know me, I've grown to respect the program, even though I'm born and bred a Sparty hater. But I do think that the day Izzo leaves Michigan State, that conversation changes, drastically, right? He has really, helped take that program to another level, even despite the success they had before he got there. I think if he leaves, it obviously would depend on who comes in, right? Like if there's a big time coach that goes to Sparty, then sure, they get back on that level. But I think the conversation continues to change slightly the more that these coaches decide to go to other places, or in the case of Coach K, retire.
Yeah. Last thing let me ask you this. Do you feel like because we have now been playing Michigan State, Kentucky, Kansas, on this rotating basis for quite a while, that you're like, oh, I kind of would like some new blood in the mix. Like, oh, wouldn't it be great if Duke could play, I don't know who it may be. There are other teams at the top of the sport. Arizona, Gonzaga, although we play Arizona and Gonzaga fairly consistently too. I don't know. UConn, obviously. Do you feel like you want a sort of a new Champions Classic? And by the way, it's possible if they put together a new one that Duke wouldn't be involved. You never know. They may say we want to have Carolina, now, and Duke and Carolina wouldn't be in it together. Or do you feel like you like having the consistent matchup with these teams that we sort of almost get to know them a bit?
I went to the very first Champions Classic. I think I went to the first 4 or 5. You're asking the wrong person of the question of whether the Champions Classic should continue. It's a resounding yes from me. But I do think that reapproaching it might be a different deal, right? Like, again, I think not necessarily who we play, but where we play could change. Playing that, we're playing Kansas and Vegas. That adds a whole new element to that game, right? The fact that it's in Vegas, maybe playing in LA or something like playing in Miami. Some places where it's a destination for the fans that are going. It's not it's a true neutral site for everybody, right? Like when we play in the Garden, sorry everybody else, but we're gonna dominate that crowd. If we play in Chicago, it's gonna be Kansas or Michigan State. If we play in Atlanta, like we're playing Kentucky this year, that's a home game for Kentucky because they're gonna travel. Like maybe putting it in a position where every year it's in a place that switches up and it gets a little bit, again, adding a new arena, new city, new elements to that makes a modern common matchup all the more appealing. Everyone is super excited about Duke playing Kansas this year. Why? Because it's in Vegas and not in Indianapolis. And that's no disrespect to Indianapolis, but we've played them there several times, but we haven't played them in Vegas. So that adds some flair to it. So I'm really excited about the future of the Champions Classic. I do hope it continues because I think it is a nice guaranteed top 5, top 10 matchup in most years. But I also think their approach to how they continue to make it germane to the general conversation of college basketball supremacy is the key here. If that involves adding a couple more teams, maybe moving it to making it a multi-team event, right? Like instead of like kind of going up against the Mauis and invitationals of the world and stuff like that, maybe that might be a good idea, or even putting it in December where we used to have some of those coaches versus cancer, classics, and giving teams a chance to kind of get into the season before they test themselves against the best of the best.
Yeah. Well, look, these scheduling things, they crop up and you're like, whoa, what the heck happened with this schedule? It's fun to speculate about. And we should note, I didn't sense from the John Shire interview that like there were any imminent conversations with UConn going on. It was more
open? Yes. Are they on the phone? Or is he on the phone with Dan Hurley right now? Probably not.
Right.
Only to say, hey, Dan, you want to come down to Durham with your brother on October 27th. Other than that, we're probably not talking about much right now.
Exactly. All right. With that, we're going to wrap it up here on the latest edition of the DBR podcast, the Duke Basketball Roundup. Once again, our thanks to Associate Head Coach Chris Carrawell for joining us on this episode, talking a little bit of basketball and talking a little bit about the dribble for victory over cancer. Once again, the URL that you all need to go to make a donation, tinyurl.com/Duke Dribble. Please go there and help out. It's not about helping out our team. It's about helping out pediatric cancer research, a super, super important cause. And I look forward, all of you who are in the area, come out and join the Duke Dribble for victory over cancer. I will be there. I'll figure out, as we get closer, I'll figure out some way to identify myself so that folks will be able to come up and say hi and we can all, join and dribble together around the campus. I think that'd be a ton of fun. For Donald Wine, I'm Jason Evans. For Coach Carrawell, thanks again. This is the DBR podcast, and here is the Duke Band to play us out and take us home.